Broadcasting from the Red Bed Plains, you are now listening to Through the Prairie Smoke.
Well, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Hope it's all been great. It's been a while since we've hung out.
Yeah.
Holidays are busy.
So busy. So busy. That's what I don't like about the holidays. It's the hustle and bustle.
Yeah. Yep.
What are you doing?
I'm packing my pipe over here. And I'm packing it. I just opened this. But I've had this tin for at least a year. But this is Warped Saint Espresso. Warped is typically a cigar brand. But they've got this pipe tobacco here. It's a triple Cavendish mixture.
Yeah.
A unique triad of distinct Cavendish variants, each carefully steamed and toasted, combined to evoke the velvety body and rich flavor of a fine espresso. Perfect to start your day, to pick you up after lunch, or to pair with evening dessert. This exquisite coffee-inspired blend takes an exclusively different approach to the classic black Cavendish aroma profile. Sale only allowed in the United States. You know, it smells like tobacco and coffee. And I'm putting it in my little Outlaw pipe tonight.
Yeah.
I just put a new...
put it in the old shorty.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shorty.
Make sure the mustache stays out of it. But,
Yeah, I don't like your... the middle of the podcast just...
Uh-huh. While I'm lighting this, what are you smoking?
Oh, tonight I went with a Diesel Desert Walker. Cigars Daily Edition. It's a team up. It is pretty good. This is, I think I mentioned this when we did
Cattle mutilation.
Yeah.
You were thinking about theming.
Because I was going to smoke this because it had an old cowboy on it in the sunset.
Yeah.
But then I chose something else. I can't remember what it was. It was really delicious. I grabbed one of these and I'm like, yeah, tonight's the night. It's going to happen tonight.
All right. I'm lit up. I'm ready to go over here.
Yeah. This one's kicking.
Before we go through the prairie smoke, I think for the new year here in 2025, we'd like to introduce a new segment called Things We Got Wrong Last Time.
So what we're calling it?
I think that sounds good.
I like the name right off the fly. Yeah, this is what we messed up on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I double-checked this while editing the past episode where we talked about ghost stories. And we talked about The Phantom Carriage being based on a book by
Amelia Clark
called The Phantom Coach.
Yeah.
That's not what the movie The Phantom Carriage is based on.
You know what's sad about that?
What's that?
That we had this, like, when we came across that story, you were really excited. You're like, okay, and we get into it, and we're talking about the silent film, and it is an awesome silent film.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here, and I'm like, man, yeah, when I, like... Anyways,
Yeah.
you have to listen to it. But
Yeah.
it's so funny because what brought that upon was when I was having a trouble trying to come up with like a short summary to explain the ghost story to our fine folks.
Uh-huh.
And then we're talking about a silent film that's based off of that.
Yeah.
And
it's...
We were completely wrong.
We were wrong.
It's completely... It's separate entities. They're not even... They just have Phantom in their name. Anyways. So... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's basically it. So, if you're citing us in your professional paper that you're writing for whatever, we
Which
got it
you
wrong.
should be.
That's right.
Right.
Experts over here.
We're correcting ourselves. They're still both great, and check them out.
That's right.
Yep. It's so funny how we come across those, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're confident
Mm-hmm.
in our episodes, and we're pounding facts, folks.
Yeah, we know what we're doing.
And then
Except when we don't.
you get done editing that beautiful artwork that we produce, and then we both look at each other and go, "Oh crap! How are we gonna change that?"
And that content is so good, we can't change the
you
content.
can't change the content. So
Just cut
that's
the
why
whole
we
thing.
have a new
The new segment.
and it's a new year.
And it's a new year.
Yeah, we're spicing things up,
Yeah.
folks.
So, 360... Yeah, 360 days
Yeah.
to come up with whatever we're going to do next year.
Right.
It's new. So we got a lot of time for it.
Yeah, baby steps, folks.
Yeah, baby steps.
Also, does this mean now that we have this new segment, does that mean every episode we basically have to find a point
To screw up?
something up? Yeah.
No. Maybe it could be minor. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Knowing us,
We're going to screw
we're
it
not
up.
going to have a problem.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. I think I remember early on you thought you had misspoke about something in the Fox Sisters, like episode number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I think what you were talking about, I ended up cutting the whole segment anyway, so it didn't matter.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. deal.
But,
Yeah. But sometimes we just can't
Yeah,
cut
gotta
that
have it.
great.
that great content
Yes.
that our subscribers love.
Yeah. Every single one of the episodes are great.
Absolutely.
Listen to us.
Well, what are we talking about tonight?
Well,
This is some local interest stuff, right?
yes, we try to do some Oklahoma-based content. So, this is a good way to start the year and go through the prairie smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Tyler, there's this town in Oklahoma called Dead Woman's Crossing, and there's a
Okay.
story behind it.
All right. So when you were talking about this story to me, you talked about Dead Woman's Crossing, and I was just like, "Oh, it's a bridge," but it's more than a bridge. It's a place.
Actually, it's not even a bridge. There is a bridge there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there wasn't a bridge at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a haunted spot out kind of by Weatherford, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Little college out there, southwestern Oklahoma State University, SWASU. So kind of within a 10-mile radius of that, with Weatherford.
I think
isn't it,
that's
right?
safe to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just
10
all
miles.
kind of in there. It's probably about an hour away from Kingfisher.
Mm-hmm.
So roughly about the same from Yukon, or where we're at
Yeah.
right now. And it is a unincorporated community. So that means it relies more on the county government
Yeah.
than its own
Yeah.
municipal.
Not
It doesn't have its own
municipal building and all that stuff.
So,
People just live there.
yeah. Funny enough, I actually came across the name of this town. Like, I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah.
And we've lived in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I've lived in it my whole life.
Yeah.
So 40 years here. Never heard of this town.
Yeah.
I've been to Weatherford.
Yeah.
I've been over in that area.
Yeah.
I've just never heard of it. But one night in good old Oklahoma and the good old storm season,
Uh-huh.
and you got old Mike Morgan on the
Yeah.
telly.
Yeah. He's
And
such a jerk.
He's just like talking about this. We got rotation coming down this road here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that was a horrible impersonation. But anyways, I remember one night I was watching it on, being weather aware,
Uh-huh.
and there was a tornado that was like down Crescent Road or something. Anyways,
Yeah.
But when he was doing like the map on the TV
Yeah.
and he was like zooming in and all this, all of a sudden I see the name, and he even says it in that weather episode. In
the the live weather event.
Yes, but he says the name, and I'm like, so I knew I wasn't seeing things, and I'm like, that's weird. I've never heard of that. That's crazy. Now there are some crazy names around Oklahoma.
Of course, so everywhere has crazy names.
So, anyways, but I looked it up out of curiosity.
Sure.
And it led to this greatness that we are about to stow upon you. Is that how you would say that? Stow upon you? Bestow.
Yeah, that's it. So, what people say the place is haunted.
Yeah.
What are people seeing?
So there's been a few different reports. There's been reports of seeing a women's apparition. I said that wrong again.
Apparition.
Yes. I always say that wrong.
You see a woman's apparition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've seen that around the area or walking along the creek. That creek right there is Deer Creek.
Okay.
So that's actually where the events happen. But she's been seen wandering around there. Sometimes you could hear the woman crying out for her baby. And then another interesting thing is sometimes you can hear wagon wheels on gravel. Another cool thing is, and this one's been reported a lot, of seeing a blue light.
So ghost light, orb.
Kind of like a ghost light, yeah.
Which we left out of our ghost light episode.
Well, I actually didn't know about it at that time.
Until looking into this.
Yeah.
So, ghost lights all over the place.
Yeah.
Callbacks to other episodes.
It's happening. It's happening around us everywhere. So, why?
Yeah.
Why would you call a town Dead Woman's Crossing? Why do we have a ghost wandering the creek in search of a baby? Why are we hearing wagon wheels? So creepy, right? Gosh, man,
it's pretty wild.
That would be so crazy.
Yeah,
get out there. We got to go out there sometime.
We do.
And when we go out there, we're gonna record more, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna report to you guys.
That's right. Absolutely. Follow up. Call back. So let's talk about the story. Why would we be hearing a woman's ghost out there? A woman's apparition.
So,
what date? What time period are we looking at?
So we're looking around just the turn of the century, so 1900.
Okay.
Is that what you would say, the turn of the century?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So
if it's early enough, 1900, Oklahoma isn't a state yet.
Right.
It'd still be a territory.
So when we become a state? 1908?
I think it was 1907. Yeah, I think it's 1907.
Yeah. So yeah, this is like right before. But man, should have done this research, huh? Don't listen to me.
I never do.
This town is actually named for a murder mystery.
Yeah.
Which also has led to our wonderful ghost story.
Yep.
Katie DeWitt James. She was born August 29th of 1874. When these events go down, it's around 1905. She's 29, 30 years old.
Yeah.
School teacher.
Okay.
Has a 14-month-old daughter named Blanche, quotations, Lulu Bell.
Lulu Bell.
And
you say Blanche. Does she go by, they're calling her Blanche, but her name is Lulu Bell?
Interesting enough, everything I've read, leading up to this was Lulu Bell. But when I was doing some more research today, actually, I came across the gravestone of Katie, and then I also came across the gravestone of Lulu Bell, but it was Blanche. And so I was like, well, that's weird. But the birth date was lining up. And the age was lining up. And so then I came across another article later on this afternoon, and they clearly put it in there like Blanche, blah, blah, blah.
Huh.
So, I take it her nickname was Lulu Bell,
Okay.
and her real name is Blanche James.
Okay.
She's married to Martin Luther James,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been married for 4 years.
Yep.
They live on a farm that is actually her homestead.
Yeah, it's her
farm.
property.
Yeah. Katie's not happy.
Yeah.
She has just filed on July 6th of 1905. She is filed for divorce from Martin on the grounds of cruelty. That's about all I could find.
Yeah.
Didn't really go into too much detail.
And, for the time period, I mean, still even today, it's hard to talk about some of these things for some people.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty extreme for
Yeah.
the time, And I think, like you point out, she's the property owner here, and her father is well connected. So it's likely her connections, her abilities that's keeping the farm going. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, it's important to know with all the shenanigans.
Potential shenanigan.
The day after she files for divorce from Martin, which would be July 7th, she's with her dad, Henry, and they are at the train station in Custer City. And that's where she boards a train. She is traveling to Ripley, Oklahoma to meet a cousin.
Yeah, with her cousin. Yeah. And we don't know why this is happening. We can speculate. We're going to speculate. Yeah. But we don't know why she's going to go hang out with her cousin.
Yeah. It does state, like in one thing that I read, it wasn't a joyful travel. So I imagine she's getting out of a situation. Like she just filed the day before. So she's probably just trying to avoid turmoil, something like that. But so
we don't know, but that's easy for me to believe. And, it's all her stuff. It's her property, but she's the one getting on the train. There's...
Yeah.
So... She's bailing on a bad situation, likely.
With support from Dad, because he put her on the train.
That's right.
So she boards this train. Ripley, I looked it up, is probably about 123 miles away from Custer City.
Okay.
It's about due east.
Okay.
And what was interesting about that is, so I had Google Maps pulled up. And so during this whole story, like I'm going back and forth. I'm like, I'm from Oklahoma. I know the names of these towns that they're talking about.
Yeah.
But some of them I'm like, where's Ripley? Have you ever heard of Ripley?
No.
I had never heard of Ripley, I'll be honest with you. Funny enough, now I couldn't pull up the railroad system, obviously.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
obviously?
I couldn't pull up the railroad tracks to see, like, well, I didn't go too crazy into it either, so I guess I can't say that I couldn't, but I didn't.
Within reason.
Yeah, I was being lazy. So, but funny enough, when you put in Google Maps and you put Custer City to Ripley, it gives you 3 directions, and the shortest route goes straight through Watonga and then through Kingfisher and then through Guthrie. So, like, right through us, man, right through the town.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So
Local
they could have been
interest.
it could have been on that railroad right there in town. So, like I said, July 7th, boards the train, she leaves.
Mm-hmm. She's got her kiddo with her. They jump on this train, and they're riding out, and there's a stop in Clinton.
You are correct.
They stop. There's a train station near Clinton, and somehow she makes a friend on the train. And we don't know a lot about this either, but she meets a woman who is local to the area where they disembark, and we don't know why. We don't know why she'd go wander off with this woman, with her kiddo.
And that's still like a big part of the mystery.
Why didn't she stay on the train?
Questions that are still not, to this day, answered.
Yeah. And it gets even weirder.
It is a strange series of events. When she boards, it's kind of weird. I should have done a little more research into the railroad track system, because she leaves Custer City. See, Custer City and Clinton and Weatherford, like, this is all within, like you were saying, like, it's all within a county.
Yeah.
So it's not too far away from each other.
Yeah.
But it's like they got on Custer City, and I'm guessing that took them over to Clinton. So when she boarded the train, she meets a lady, like you said. Her name is Fanny Norton. She also, in other, like, just the more research I've been doing, she's also known as Miss Ham. So she has, like, alias.
Yeah.
But she meets this lady who, as far as we know, she did not know this lady. So she meets her, and they actually get off in Weatherford. This is the same July 7th. The evening of July 7th, she gets off the train with Fanny, with her baby, and somehow is coaxed into staying the night at Fanny's brother-in-law's house, which is William Moore. They end up staying the night there. Then the next morning, early that morning, Fanny goes into Weatherford and rents a horse buggy.
How unusual do you think it is to be like, oh, I've met somebody on this train ride and I need a place to stay tonight. I'm just going to hang out with this person's brother-in-law.
Right? It's
But, like,
very strange.
This is pre-statehood. There aren't things like vending machines and credit cards, you know.
Right.
I don't know.
And I feel, you know...
Were you just sleeping on the ground if somebody didn't just take you into their shack, you know?
Yeah. But you know what's funny is, like, the mentality now,
Yeah.
obviously...
Don't talk to anyone.
Was different, way different than then. But in other stories also, I do feel like people were more sociable and more open to meeting new people, and it's just, it feels like there was a different overall culture. We even talked about it in the Fox Sisters series.
Oh, they just go and live
They
with
just
somebody.
leave their kids with, like,
yeah.
like Katie just went off with these people they just met. They've never met these people. And the only reason she went is because they're friends with so-and-so, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I think my argument when we were talking about how, Kate just goes off with so-and-so and lives with that person for 3 months, you know, it's like some of that stuff, it's like, that's not all that uncommon. And, like, you had to rely on your neighbors, you know, because that's just how it worked. If you wanted to survive, you needed to have people know where you were and check on you every now and then and things like that. So, but now we just have Facebook check-in and we don't ever have to talk. So
yeah, we can just see where we're at and not have to say anything.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But it's still even for this time period, I still think that's a little strange.
It's probably weird.
And, like, articles that you read from that time period, those questions were coming up.
Yeah.
So it had to be like, okay, this is weird.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, this is weird. So the next day, this is July 8th, she gets the horse buggy. Somewhere in there, she's telling Katie that she's going to Hydro, Oklahoma, which is in the same little area. In one article that I read, she even makes a comment to the person that she's renting the buggy from. She says 3 hours. The article says that they leave roughly around 6:30 in the morning. They get 6 miles outside of Weatherford around the Deer Creek. And then that's where
something happens. Yeah.
And now we have Fanny hauling butt in this buggy wagon.
Yeah.
And she's
going back the way
down
she
this
came.
road. Yeah, she comes flying out, comes across the little boy. She has Lulu Bell.
She has a baby.
You know, according to the kid. The kid's just like, okay. So she hands the baby off and says, have your mother watch this kid. I will be back. I have to run into town. Then she hauls butt off, and she's seen throwing a bundle of clothes out of the wagon, which turned out to be blood-soaked clothes for the baby. So then back into Weatherford, turns in the buggy. This all happens within a little over 2 hours. Yeah. Then from there, she went straight back to Clinton, and she grabs her kids and then hauls butt to Guthrie. Now, this is kind of the path that Katie should have been on the whole time.
Yeah.
She takes her kids to Guthrie, and there's 2 things I read. One, she boards them into a private school. and then leaves. And then another, and I think this one had more facts to back it up. She put them up for adoption in Guthrie. And then she takes off to Shawnee. And then she's found in Shawnee. Eventually. So
but what kind of person is Miss Ham? Fanny Norton. Miss Ham. What kind of person is she?
Fanny Norton Ham.
Uh-huh.
Man, she has all kinds of names going on. Well, the most common one is that she is a prostitute.
Well, we don't know if she's married or not.
Right.
It says brother-in-law, but that we assume that's sister's husband. Then.
Right.
And she has kids.
And she grabs her kids. Yeah. So unless she went to Clinton and grabbed her kids and just said, screw George, he's down at the mill working, and he'll never find out. Or she is a single mother of...
And I would say shorthand for just, that's a woman who's not married and has kids.
And then they just throw it out there that she's a sex worker. So.
Yeah. Of course, I'm just trying to consider the human aspect of these stories. But she's likely a murderer. So, let's be careful about how nice we are to her.
She was actually, in a census, she was put down as a laundryist. I didn't even know, I guess it's a person that does... like a dry cleaning type situation back in the day.
Probably not dry cleaning. Have you ever seen the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder? That whole Cheer Up Charlie song that everybody fast forwards through.
His mother.
His mother's sitting there with a giant pot of stew, but it's not stew, it's clothes.
Right. So
laundryist.
That's what I would think.
That's what I imagine.
No, I think you're onto something there. Yeah. So she was in a census, and that that's I don't know really back in the day if with the census guy came around, you're like, yeah, I'm a prostitute.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
so that might be why that's there. But maybe she did. Man, I don't know. Maybe she did both.
I specialize in men's clothing. Laundryist.
I've gotten some stains out before.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, good times, right? Mm-hmm. So...
How many kids does she have?
I came across 4.
4?
But I think... I'm just looking at my notes here. Because I got a little backstory. It looks like it was a boy and 2 girls.
Okay.
So I think it's 3 kids, in one thing it was like 4, but you know how reports are back in the day. Of
course, yeah. And so she runs off to Guthrie. Something weird's going on with the kids. She eventually ends up in Shawnee. In the meantime, do we lose track of Lulu Bell? Where's Blanche? Anybody ever show up for Blanche? And where's Katie DeWitt James?
Those are all good questions. So it's been a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. Henry, her father, has not heard from Katie at all.
And that is extremely unusual because she writes letters all the time, apparently. Right. In fact, she wrote one on the train.
Yeah.
Right after she departed, she wrote a letter. And that letter got there, but no other letters.
No other letters. Like any worried father would do. He travels all the way to Oklahoma City. Ends up at the sheriff department, Sheriff Garrison, and he's actually requesting help to find his daughter, and they hire Detective Sam Bartell. Am I getting his name right? Gotta get his name right or we're gonna have a segment next time.
Yeah. I feel a lot better getting stuff wrong knowing that we've got a segment.
Yeah, we got that safety net.
Mm-hmm. Sam Bartell.
Yeah.
He's kind of the hired private investigator, kind of, except he's a detective.
He's a detective.
In Oklahoma Territory, pre-statehood.
When he does get to Weatherford, he gets his first, piece of evidence, intel. So that's on July 28th. So it's been a couple of weeks. That's where he finds out where Lulu Bell is.
Okay.
And that's how he finds out about Fanny and how they got off the train and they stayed at the Moore's house. Mm-hmm. And he gets filled in from witnesses of Fanny and how, all that good stuff. He keeps tracing their footsteps and he takes off in the direction that she was seen on this wagon.
Yep.
And he gets about the 6 miles out, and he finds a trail of wagon wheels that have went off the path down into the field or whatever.
Yeah.
At that time, they don't come up with anything.
We organized a search party after that, right?
Yeah. Well, now it's a manhunt. Because now they're trying to find Fanny. She's arrested under suspicion, and they're just questioning her. No one knows the fate of Katie other than Fanny, but that's what they're trying to get out of her.
Right.
At this point, I don't think it's even in mind that
she may have been murdered or dead.
During the questioning, she ends up using the restroom, and then shortly after coming back, she begins to vomit and have compulsions. And basically, she basically has poisoned herself.
She drank poison.
Yeah. They have doctors come in. They try to revive her, and she ends up dying.
Weird, huh?
So, yeah, weird. With no information. Other than, I will read what she said. Her part of the story to the detective. Excuse me for just a second. Good folks. This is from one of the big articles that I was getting a lot of information from. When questioned by Bartell, she admitted her identity and told a rambling story about the James woman, saying they had met a man in a covered wagon after they had driven out of Weatherford, and Mrs. James had exclaimed, "There they come now," jumped out of the buggy and climbed into the wagon.
Fanny said a dude in a covered wagon met them while they were leaving Weatherford, and Katie jumps out of the carriage, jumps into the wagon, and off they go. Okay.
Shortly after she gives that little piece of information, she ends up basically killing herself with poison. Yeah. So what Fanny's trying to say is that we were attacked. Or, you know, or she knew. If Katie's sitting in the wagon with her, and then they come across another covered wagon, and she's like, "Hey, there they are," and then jumps out and goes and gets in a wagon. Like, who would Katie be seeing out in Weatherford, where she's not from? She's just met Fanny. Like this is so that's strange too. Yep. It's very strange, especially if there's any truth to that.
Sure.
Because you can't disregard it. I mean,
sure.
So
it sure makes it complicated.
Man, this whole thing is complicated. So now that their leading suspect has basically passed away, the governor ends up putting out.
Oh yeah, there's a cash reward.
This cash award, which says $500 would be rewarded for the return of her alive. $75 will be rewarded if a body is recovered. $300 for the rest of the person or persons that murdered Katie, if it's a murder. Because I still feel like at this time they don't know what's happened.
I suspect,
but they're
hopeful.
They're hopeful, but probably
that looks pretty serious. Somebody killing themselves in police custody.
Somebody killing, yeah. They end up doing 2 big searches. They said that each search was up to like 50 men. None of them come up with anything. These were conducted shortly after they found Fanny. And Fanny was found after Bartell came across all that information on the 28th of July. And so I'm going to say the first few weeks of August is when they're conducting these searches. And these searches went on for a week or 2 weeks.
It was a significant amount of time and a significant area that they were looking. And found nothing. Nothing came up.
Nothing at all. It's crazy that Bartell came across where the wagon went off, but couldn't find, like, I don't know. I don't know how that works. Anyways, but...
Well, it makes me wonder, too, like, you know, if you're out wandering around in, I'm not going to say wilderness, but, you know, it's pretty rural in some areas. You go out and there's a tree line or something, there's tall grass where they can't plant up next to that or whatever. You can see how deer or some sort of wildlife has come in and knocked that stuff over.
Vegetation down.
So, you know, if you got a horse pulling a wagon and it
Yeah,
exits a
you'd think
road.
you would make some kind of...
Yeah, you would see see it there for likely several days.
Yeah.
But then if it didn't stay there, like what did it go on the creek, go through the creek to hide tracks? Like what's it doing? Yeah. It's wild.
It's crazy, yeah.
I'm thinking
what
alien
you
abduction.
stewing up? Oh man. Dude, that
We'll circle back.
Yeah, we are going to circle back
because there's
to
evidence.
Because now you got me
alien abduction.
Yes. So after these two failed big searches, August 31st.
It's a week shy of 2 months for being missing.
Yeah. Governor Ferguson receives a telegram from G.W. Cornell. G.W. out fishing with his two boys comes across
they
assume is the body of Katie. Mm-hmm. When he described the remains, he stated that he stepped out of the wagon and next to where he was standing, he found a skull, and then a little further away a hat, and then a body. Mm-hmm. But when he describes it, he's talking about a skull and a skeleton.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, man, is this just bad reporting?
Yeah.
Or what's going on? How's this a skeleton in like a couple of weeks? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I started looking up on my work computer at my job. I'm typing in, and it's not until I get halfway of like typing it that I think,
how long does it take for a body to decompose?
Yes. And I start thinking back, man, if I'm ever in trouble later on down the road and they're like, well, this is what we found on his computer.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was funny.
It's what I think anytime.
But I was typing it in and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, maybe I shouldn't be typing this in, but I did it anyways.
They talk about these, these people who are arrested and accused of some heinous crime. And they're like, these are the books he had on his shelf. And I just think,
I have those books on my shelf.
God, I have all those books.
So, yes, I had that feeling. Like, I was sitting there typing, and then I'm all like, oh, shit, this is like a Dateline situation. Yeah. Anyways, so I go ahead with the search.
Tell us about how you put her in your trunk, Dustin.
And interesting enough, every scenario is different. Weather conditions, just anyway. So it can decompose to a skeleton in as little as 10 days.
Really?
And then several years, just depending on what state they're in.
Yeah. Moisture.
And so
weather, critters.
I try to think that, we're in Oklahoma.
The whole thing about the skull.
We're in the middle of summer.
Yeah. So maybe.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the skull being away and then the hat, like him finding the hat is the most unbelievable part of the story, in my opinion.
Most unbelievable?
Yeah. Why is
that it's still there?
Why is the hat there?
Right?
Like the skull rolled over here, the hat should have blown away.
Yeah, that's what you would think. Yeah.
He sends the telegraph. He says, hey, I've got this body here. Y'all been looking for this body. I found it here.
How much money do I get?
Yeah. And does he speak about cause of death? Says bullet hole, right?
So I don't know if he's the one that describes this. He did not mess with the scene. They went straight to authorities.
Okay.
And that this was like not something that he just like gathered up and then brought to town or anything like that. This came from people that actually went out to the scene and investigated. Yeah. So the skull is removed from the skeleton. Mm-hmm. Doesn't say how far away. It's a skeleton now, and the bones just rolled off, or animals dragged it. Something like that, right? But there is a bullet hole in the skull. 3 feet from the skull was a .38 caliber revolver. A .38 caliber bullet was found inside the skull, and it entered the skull behind the right ear.
If that's the case, she was driving because she wasn't riding shotgun.
Well, GW actually says the way the body laid on the ground and from the way the bullet was in the head, she had to have been shot in the wagon and fell out.
Yeah.
The way that he was describing it.
So
then
you may have a specific image of like a covered wagon or something. In my mind, this is a wagon that's real simple. It's not even covered. It's got space for something in the back, but then it's just a bench where 2 or 3 people can sit across. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we don't know how many horses are on it. Is it 1? Probably. Maybe it's 2.
Yeah.
But probably 1. And, you know, when you're sitting on a bench that can seat 3 people,
Yeah.
really doesn't matter where you hold the reins, I suppose.
Well, it's true, yeah. GW acts like she fell out of the wagon. Now, how does he know that? 2 months later, like, I don't know. There's just this is a wacky kind
It's
of
wacky.
case. Like, it's crazy.
Not only that, but this specific place where she is found, that was searched twice.
Yeah,
The search party went right through there twice.
and overlooked it.
Yeah.
But me and you, we've been out in pastures. We've been out in the creek areas and
We've
stuff
been
like
metal
that.
detecting in places.
It's not as easy as we make it out to. You
Sure.
know, you can't really down them too much.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do. Yeah, you're right. We're
Plus,
in the
it's
same
exciting.
vicinity, like 2
What are you going to
times,
come
and-
out there? We don't know why she's missing. Are we going to come
Yeah.
across a murderer? What are we going to find out? Like up to 50 people are each
Yeah.
telling them their own story of what they're going to find out here.
Yeah,
You know, so sure. It
and
happens.
again, this is next to a creek.
Yeah.
and they're going out to fish. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
like just follow the creek.
Yeah.
But anyways, you know,
It's
well,
weird.
Hey, well, what can we do?
Well, nothing now. It's over 100 years ago.
More interesting facts. She still has her $5 gold ring on her finger.
Okay.
So it's still on the skeleton. That wasn't taken. This is when we're trying to go through motive.
This is based on calculation for 2013, so this is 12 years old at this point. But based on 2013 data, in 1906, a $5 gold ring is actually worth almost $200.
Yeah, I actually did the same thing earlier today. She was married for 4 years, and if it was a wedding ring that she had on her finger, I went back to 1901, and it was about 185. But if you do 1905 when she died, and it's a $5 ring, it was coming out to like about 180. So 200, 180 to $200 is the value of this ring that's on her finger, compared to nowadays.
And they didn't have soda pops in vending machines. This was before the nickel sodas.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know what you even buy in 1906. Supplies, I guess, but I don't know.
Crazy.
And that wasn't that long ago.
No, not really.
All right. So trying to piece together motive. It doesn't look like she was murdered for jewelry. Because she's got jewelry.
Yeah, there was a motive of robbery. Someone had stated that, and I don't know how they know this, but Fanny had observed Katie opening her pocketbook that contained a sum of money, although that was never proven.
Yeah.
And the body was found with a gold ring still on her fingers.
I'm trying to think. There was the letter that she sent to her dad from the train.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if she was buying postage, you know, dropping it off with the carrier on the train.
Yeah.
And then here, open my pocketbook for your, I don't know what it cost to mail a letter on the train in 1905, but,
Yeah.
you know, somebody gets a glimpse of 4 quarters, they lose their mind, you know.
Very true. Very true. We keep picking on Fanny here, but you know, Fanny's history isn't the greatest.
Yeah.
Already in her past, she murdered a man, and she got off with self-defense. I guess it was some bartender, so that wasn't really helping her situation.
Help
any.
us help you.
And then when you turn around and you are the last person seen with her,
Yeah.
you come back by yourself.
Yeah.
You have blood on the wagon, because they did say blood was found on a wagon wheel. So there was blood on a wagon wheel that you return. You dropped a baby off at some random house. Threw out baby clothes drenched in blood. The baby's unharmed. You're unharmed. You flee to Clinton, grab your kids, go all the way to Guthrie, drop them off, and then head to Shawnee to hide.
Well, we don't know why she goes to Shawnee, but it sure looks like it's to hide.
She has stated to her acquaintances in Shawnee that she did not want to be found. So, I mean, she's obviously on the run. A lot of stuff's pointing towards Fanny. So it's easy for us to look at this now and be like, well, yeah, she did it. The only questions now are like, why? Why did she do it? But it's so much deeper than that. So much deeper, Tyler.
Yeah.
I have theories too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And a lot of the articles of that time were putting her ex-husband in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Saying that he had something to do with it as well.
Well, that makes the best story.
So when I first read this story, just like, like raw, just read the story.
Mm-hmm.
My first thought was, okay, he hired this Fanny lady to intercept her on this train and then kill her.
Yeah.
And then Fanny gets found out. And there were some that thought that as well. Supposedly, Mr. James Martin had a lot of alibis that lined up with events. He's just a douchebag or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's not. But actually, there's some stuff later on that I read, and I'm like, okay, that guy was probably kind of a douchebag.
Well, it was her homestead, but after she was found, he settles the estate.
Yeah.
He is granted half of the property rights, and the other half is granted to the infant daughter.
Correct.
And he applies for sole guardianship, and it's hard to find all this
established
stuff.
if it was for sure or not.
But why wouldn't it be?
Him being a suspect, he had motive as well. He didn't own any of that. So, and with the divorce being filed, he would have lost that. Like, he wouldn't be there. That would be hers.
Yep.
And he wouldn't get any of it.
I mean, we can't pull his cell phone records,
Yeah, right. Hotel records and stuff. Anyways, so on Katie's gravestone, the dad had inscribed on there, how many hopes he ended here. So that's always been kind of an eerie thing, and I think deep down
he ended here. He blames his former son-in-law.
Yeah. So, but like again, none of that's proven. So,
and Fanny in Shawnee, nobody ever claimed her body.
No,
though,
she was actually buried in a Shawnee cemetery in an unmarked grave.
Yeah,
like no one
got to do something.
Like
with it.
They were like whatever. And then you may wonder what happened to Lulu Bell.
Yeah,
what happened to the daughter? So Lulu Bell is tracked down to this family. She was dropped off at a German family. Can't remember what the name was. They're the ones that report it, so it's not like they don't know where the baby is.
Do you think it's important that it's a German family?
No, it's not, so you can cut that.
It might be important. Because they ate the child.
Oh my God.
No, they didn't eat the child.
Krampus. Mr. James had tried to get the guardianship. You even made the comment like, why shouldn't he is the father, and the mother is now deceased. So what happens is Martin gets the kid back, Lulu Bell, and keeps her away from Henry, the grandpa.
Yeah.
So
Grandpa James.
He is being shut out from her life.
Yeah.
She has no idea. Supposedly he was still living on the homestead. Then eventually moves, and wherever he moved to, one of the sisters of Henry lives in this town and is under a different last name. The reason I bring this up is the Weatherford Democrat, Thursday, January 23rd of 1913. It states that Blanche James is dead. So this is obviously about the death of Lulu Bell. I'm going to read this. Blanche James dead. Another chapter in one of the saddest tragedies in connection with Weatherford's early history ended recently with the death of little Blanche James. A letter received by the Cheyenne Marble Works of this place Monday from Mr. DeWitt, which was Henry, at Knowles, states that He had just got a letter from his sister, Miss Shinstifer, who had been notified of the death of the little girl on January 2nd. So little can be known of that fact except that the girl had been visiting her father and took sick with spinal meningitis, from which she died. The letter from Mr. DeWitt closed with the cry of the old man's broken heart. I think they might have let me know. I would have liked to have been with her.
Yeah.
She's 8 years old.
So then I guess Martin Luther gets the whole property there. Huh?
Yeah. Well, so in the same article that I just read out of, it does say this. Any of our readers will remember the gruesome story. 7 years ago, Miss James, having had trouble with her husband on account of his cruelty, had come to Weatherford to her father, Mr. DeWitt. At Clinton, she met with Miss Ham, who offered to drive her through the country. Someplace on that lonely drive, she was murdered. The body was afterwards found hidden in the bushes near Deer Creek. A little boy related that a woman driving the wagon asked him to hold the baby, then drove furiously away, leaving the little child in his arms. Here's the interesting part. 2 years ago, a trace of the murderer was found in Colorado, but she was wanted for stealing horses in New Mexico, so she could not be brought back here for trial until her sentence expires. Is that not interesting?
What in the heck?
That just throws more of a kink into this weird, wild story.
Yeah.
And that's the only place I found that. And that's in a newspaper. Someone says, and it's so funny that it's in Colorado, and they state she.
Yeah.
It's insane. It says, but many have asked what became of the little babe deprived of its mother's care and left to strangers.
Yeah.
The father came and took the child, never letting Mr. DeWitt have anything to do with her or to see her. Mr. James married again, but through the years, the child was guarded from any knowledge of her grandfather. Mrs. Shinstifer, the sister of Mr. DeWitt, lived in the same county, Dewey County, and through neighbors kept track of the child and informed Mr. DeWitt. The old gentleman, in the course of time, amassed considerable property. Mrs. James was his only child, and he has no heir. It was the wish of his heart to have and to help little Blanche. Although he was not allowed to see her, he could not resist sending her pretty clothes. These were sent through his sister, and without letting them know where they came from. And so the story ends with the death of little Blanche.
Wow.
So that guy's kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
Dude, like, seriously, like,
Yeah.
he marries a 17-year-old.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, people are starting families at 9.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Going further into the same place that I found that article, Fanny's children, the ones that were just left for adoption, it says the Ham children spent their last days together as a family traveling to Guthrie, Oklahoma. On July 11th, 1905, they were placed for adoption by their mother, Mary Frances Norton, who then left for Shawnee, where she eventually committed suicide. Roy, the older brother, was 13. His two sisters, Elise and Letta, only 11 and 7. The records that survive show the children placed with families in August 1905.
Hold on. Does it say 4 children and then just name 3 of them?
Did they say 4?
Maybe not.
No.
Okay.
There's 3. But that one article that I got a lot of my information from says 4 kids. They probably just did a head count at that house or something, and there was a neighborhood kid or something.
It's like the beginning of Home Alone, just counting the heads.
Yeah. They're all here. Let's get on the plane. So it says the records that survive show the children's placed with families in August 1905. Sadly, they were not kept together. Roy Ham was with a farmer, good people man, and wife of Quaker faith. Elise was left with an intelligent family who will give the child a good home, Methodist faith. Letta was left with Dr. B and his wife, no children, fine people. The child will have good advantages, Presbyterian and Methodist churches preferred. So wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was interesting coming across that like way after all this stuff that I've already read. And
you were reading those things, it's like he went with the Quakers, she went with the Methodists, and then she went with Dr. Such and Such, no kids, where she became a scientific medical experiment.
yes.
That's not.
And then they had to throw in the like, Presbyterian, Methodist, whatever you like.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's all technicality. We got to put this in here.
Yeah.
In reality, she's in the basement.
Yeah.
It's funny that you're joking about that, but at the end of this thing, the part that I didn't read, it says Letta, which is the one with the doctor, says Letta was perhaps the luckiest of the 3 Ham children. She was placed with the doctor who eventually adopted her. She wrote to her brother of her little pony and of 4 dolls she had. Letta, too, went on to marry, raise children, and live her life.
Great.
It's just funny that it stated that after your comment.
Yeah.
It was like, she's the luckiest of them all. Yeah. She's in the basement.
She's got 4 dolls and a pony.
She has 4 dolls and a pony and like 3 legs attached to one. Yes. Okay, sorry. Joking aside, Katie is buried in Greenwood Cemetery. She does have a gravestone. Like I said, it says, "How many hopes he ended here."
You can go and see that sad little.
And they have her, it's sad. And then they do have her death down as July 8th. Because obviously last known was the 8th.
Yeah.
Let's talk, Tyler.
Yeah, man.
Let's wrap back around. Reading the story, what are your thoughts? Do you have any...
there's the good story is... And, I don't want to trivialize it too much because these were real people, and it's tragic and sad.
Yeah.
But then from an entertainment storytelling perspective, it is fun to think about as the ex-husband hiring a hitman. He's like, you got to make this look like an accident. I got to be over here, whatever else. But then it's like, the hitman hires this other gal to be this distraction, and maybe she's just this ancillary player. She's just trying to get cash, and doesn't realize it's about to be a murder. And so she is freaking out, but she's coerced into killing herself later. Yep. That's actually a murder because that's the last witness,
Yeah. But there's something to what you just said. I like that because if you think, your first notion is that, okay, Fanny did it. She's obviously guilty. She kills herself. She, flees,
She's got a record.
But she's out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, let's just put ourselves in this.
Yeah.
They ride out 6 miles out of town.
Yep.
She decides to go off into this, next down to the creek, where it's kind of a nice little secluded place. I'm gonna kill Katie. Just kill her, knock her out of the wagon, Why would she haul ass out of the area?
Yeah, why is she in such a panic afterward?
Why would she frantically give a kid away to somebody just randomly, throw blood-soaked clothes off into the ground? There's just so much stuff in her behavior that would not be like, okay, this is a person that killed for a reason. You think they'd be more composed, is what I'm thinking.
Sure.
So when you say what you said, that's kind of what my mind's going more towards. That is more like, hey, it even did come up that there may be an accomplice with this.
Sure.
Why would she do this? Why would she do that?
What's her brother-in-law up to?
Yeah.
What was he up to when she potentially saw into the pocketbook? Oh, she's got about $10 in there. That'd be real nice. Tells the brother-in-law, it's like, yeah, let's do it. I'll meet you out there. But then she spends that money she just stole to get a train ride all the way to Guthrie where she puts her kids up for adoption and then spends more of it to get to Shawnee.
Yeah.
I don't.
Or puts money into renting a buggy to go do go do that to rob somebody.
Yeah.
So, so that doesn't add up. Robbery doesn't add up. And if it was robbery, that ring would be gone.
Agreed.
And
the hat. They'd take the hat, too.
Yeah. But why? But there was also, it's a 29-year-old woman with her kid, and they're in a unknown place. Like, why couldn't they just do it while they stayed at the house? Like, just steal her stuff and then send her on her way.
We're talking about places like Clinton and Weatherford, but we're talking about territory history. You know, how many people live there?
Right.
20 people? Yeah. Probably less. So.
And it's not like, I don't know, man.
That's probably not true. There were probably more than 20 people.
It's just weird.
It's pretty weird.
It is. It's so weird. And one of the big questions is, like, you're taking a 29-year-old school teacher. She's young.
Mm-hmm.
But she's already a landowner. That's true. She has her own land.
Yep.
She's been married 4 years. She has a kid.
Yep.
Like, she's pretty level-headed for the most part.
She's got it.
Right?
She knows
have to be. So why would you meet a stranger on a train? I mean, this lady seems to have her head on her shoulders, but who knows, man?
Mm-hmm.
It's
maybe
interesting. What about aliens, though?
Aliens. Okay. So sometimes a cold vanish happens. And that's, somebody disappears.
Yeah.
And there's no evidence. A lot of these things, like search and rescue things now, there are protocols that you follow. And you follow those protocols because errors happen in specific ways. And if you're following protocols, you're less likely to have an error, right? But when you put together a search party in Oklahoma Territory, what does that look like? Just 50 people, but it's also this 9-year-old over here and 55-year-old on crutches over here, and we're out here looking, right? And maybe it's better than that, but I'm sure there's some mix of, and so they overlooked it twice. Yes, that could happen, but she was freaking out because of an alien abduction experience. They were all three abducted out there by Deer Creek in Weatherford. And Fanny and Lulu, they came back and hauled ass out of there. But something happened. And, Kate came back later.
Yeah.
It's not very good because, there's a bullet and a gun found. It's
a setup.
It's a setup.
Yeah. Now, time comes into play, too.
Mm-hmm.
On our end.
Sure.
On humanity's end. I don't know about aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Like in their time. But, this all happened in a 2-hour span, basically.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe the kid was 3 years old when she came back.
Yeah. Think so?
No, I don't. I don't know, dude.
I feel like there was somebody else.
I think so, too. And that's kind of why I think when Fanny is talking about they see another wagon and Kate says, oh, here they are. But then it was like, why wouldn't she just say, those guys killed her? Because maybe that's the thing. Maybe she did get out, but she knew it was bad, And then they went down the road and killed her or something while she was running off with the kid. But then she had blood-soaked stuff, supposedly.
But I just don't see a lady taking another lady and her baby out and then just killing the lady and then... But maybe it's just the motive. The motive is where it's like, what's the motive here? What's like... And then to kill yourself over it, too.
Yeah.
The guilt.
Yeah.
And it just, man, this weird theory keeps popping up in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no one talks about William Moore. No one talks about the brother-in-law.
Yeah, what's he up to?
And so why do we get off a train, go straight to his house?
What if Kate somehow perceived that she was being followed on the train, and she was being expected to keep going to Weatherford, but instead was like, hey, can you help me? And Fanny's like, okay, let's try it. What can we do? But then nothing else after that makes any sense for someone who's trying to help.
She does suspect that maybe she's being followed by... Maybe she feels like, now that she's divorced Martin, that maybe Martin's after her, or Martin has people after her.
Sent somebody.
So you're right. So maybe she feels like she's being followed. So she gets the help from Fanny.
But we don't get that sense from the letter she sent to her dad.
Now,
but was she coerced to send the letter?
What's interesting, though, but that was written probably on the train from Custer City to Clinton.
Yes.
So then she probably comes across and says, hey, like, there's these guys following me. Can you help me out? And then Fanny's like, well, I'm on my way to my brother-in-law's in Weatherford. We'll get off in Weatherford. We'll go to his house, hide out, and the next morning we'll head back. But she said she was going to Hydro. So what I'm getting at is, where is Hydro? Let's take out the scenario of Katie at all. Like, let's say Fanny's on this train to go to Weatherford, and then she's going to go to Hydro. Let's say those were her original plans from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you get on a train from Clinton, go to Weatherford, rent a buggy, and then go... Because I feel like Hydro's backtracking.
Yeah. Well, maybe she was...
Maybe it's not.
Well, you go to the general store where they carry something like, you got to get that special hair cream in the one store and go get it.
Laundry soap.
Laundry soap, yeah.
She's a laundryist.
She's a laundryist. It's fine. I'll have to look this up, and if we get it wrong, we'll do what we got wrong last time. But laundryist probably isn't having to do with laundry at all. It's probably like taxidermist or something.
I feel like if she was a real laundryist, she wouldn't have threw those blood-soaked clothes out the window.
No, she just would have...
The side of the wagon.
Yeah, she just would have handled it.
She would have handled that.
Yeah, she'd know how to
took
deal
care
with
of that.
So what if George... It's George, right? That's the brother-in-law?
No, William Moore.
William Moore. Mm-hmm. William Moore. So what if William Moore is like under a blanket in the back,
Yeah. It's true. I do feel like... Here's kind of what I'm kind of feeling the more we talk about it. I'm kind of seeing this as a horror movie.
Yeah.
I feel like William Moore... I feel like he's a killer. I feel like Fanny, like, does his biddings. Like, she's like, yes, master. Like...
She has
I'll
to.
bring you a... Oh my gosh, dude.
You got it.
Do you know what dude, do you know... Dude. This all just came over me right now, and I know our listeners probably like, this is the worst episode ever. But
yeah.
No, listen to me.
They've stopped listening.
Listen to me right now on that theory. The story of Dracula.
Yeah. This is it.
Nosferatu. Right here. He's a vampire. William Moore is a vampire.
Okay.
In Oklahoma.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
He can't go out during the day.
Yeah.
He needs blood. She does his, like, Rentford style,
So,
like
Kate,
she feeds him.
Kate is already dead when the wagon goes out to Deer Creek. And Fanny has to shoot the body
To make it look
like a regular murder.
Yeah.
And that's why she decomposed so fast, because all the moisture was gone.
Yeah. Crazy, dude.
I think we got it figured out.
A vampire in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
William Moore was a vampire.
Now, he probably has descendants Which means that if there were more than 4 people that listened to us, you know, it might be can you file defamation against a...
Listen.
We're just having a goof, man.
It's a theory, dude.
Yeah.
I bet on his farm.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what was on his farm?
What?
Big chickens.
He specialized in big chickens.
Yes. And then that, like, full circle, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that's where the chicken dinner came from. In the Fox Sisters. So he ordered a chicken from a farm in Oklahoma by William Moore. Mm-hmm. The spirits told him to get that chicken. Mm-hmm. But they weren't spirits at the time.
No.
They were the vampire demons.
Right.
Jeez, dude. It's crazy, man, how all this stuff comes full circle.
It just comes together, yeah.
No, but in reality, like...
No, it's
It's interesting that that's a town's name.
Yes.
It has a very... I hate to say cool, because that's kind of disrespectful, but...
It is,
it's a very unique way to get a town's name.
Yeah.
It's sad that it's never been solved. It's kind of like...
Yeah.
I have like a love-hate thing with unsolved mysteries. Like,
yeah.
I for some reason, like, there's this half of me that's all like, man, I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
But then the other half is like, I want like, I need a conclusion.
And
here.
you feel terrible for the people who it affects.
Yeah, and I'm just like, man, like, I really want to know what happened here.
And that's the thing, when you don't know, when you don't have the clues, I mean, it could be anything. It could be anything. You got to find evidence that says otherwise.
Yep. When I was doing the research,
do
you want to hear how ridiculous AI is?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, I can't remember exactly what I typed in, but the AI answer at the top of the page says it was named after a woman that was beheaded and her body was tied to a tree. And now there's a headless woman walking around that haunts the place.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was just shaking my head like, wow.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to figure out some more about Lulu Bell. I was trying to figure out if her name was Blanche. So the AI came up on there and said, Lulu Bell DeWitt James was murdered. Basically, it was putting her name in place of Katie's name as the one that was murdered and the town was named after her and all that. And I was just like, man, people rely on this.
Yeah.
People rely on AI.
Yeah.
That's scary, dude. Like,
I've turned all that crap off. We are post-truth. Post-truth era. Nothing matters.
none of this matters.
None of this matters, but hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, right? So anyways, a little Oklahoma story there. Real place. Real story. I suggest you look it up.
I mean, you can read a lot of these newspaper clippings about this story, but there is a great article by Sue Wolf Brenner, and she wrote, "Dead Woman's Crossing: The Legacy of a Territorial Murder." That's where a lot of our info came from.
Yeah. It's a good in-depth read about it. It's like 14 pages, I think.
So there's an asterisk next to her name. I printed this out because I'm an old man.
I have the same. I did the same thing.
Whatever.
Oh, I see in the end notes.
Yeah, it says she is a professor of law, Indiana State University, Bloomington, Indiana. She was a student of history at Southwestern State College, Southwestern Oklahoma State University, when she began researching this topic.
Which is in Weatherford.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Maybe she found out about that story while she was there. I don't know if she's from there, but this podcast isn't about her. It's about the story.
Yeah, lady.
Thanks for the info.
Yeah, thanks for helping us move this little story along on its rough path that I took it upon.
So we haven't been out there to look for the ghost ourselves.
No.
But we'll get around to it.
Yeah.
And we'll report back.
Man, it would just be so eerie just to hear the wagon wheels coming at you. It's like I read this one person was talking about how they used to be a student at SWASU, which is in Weatherford, and she had heard the story. And so a bunch of them went out to the crossing or to the creek, and there's a bridge there now. Mm-hmm. And I guess a bunch of them were standing there, and then all of a sudden heard the wagon wheels on the gravel. Mm-hmm. But they said it sounds like it's far away, and it's coming at you, and then it's gone. And it's just like, man, that would be so like wicked to just be sitting there like that. And then, like I said, other people have said they've seen blue lights out there in that area. Mm-hmm. And then some have even heard a woman calling for her baby.
We say baby, but the baby is 14 months.
Yeah.
So, baby's a year and 2 months old.
Year and 2 months, yeah. Her story is kind of sad, too.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad.
Sad story.
Never know. And she probably went to the grave not knowing anything about her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah, come on now.
Martin, come on, man. If you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I know she divorced you, but come on, man.
Yeah.
Show a little remorse.
Yeah.
Makes me think that you're a vampire too. You and William.
Ooh. Were they actually the love story? They are.
Oh my God.
Vampire lovers.
Sweet Jesus. We are off the rocker on this one. Yeah.
What are you smoking?
I'm still working on this desert walker, but
all right.
Yeah. It's good though.
It looks real dark from over here.
It is dark, and it's like it's some kick to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice. The guy that I watch for Cigars Daily, Tim Swanson.
Mm-hmm. Is he paying us for this?
No, he's not paying for the plug, but I figured you can watch his stuff and listen to his stuff, but he explains why, because he teamed up with the guy from Diesel Cigars and came up with this edition and the artwork and everything. It was like a collaboration. And anyways, but the name Desert Walker, I think the guy from Diesel's name is Justin. And he was down in Arizona. That's where Cigars Daily is. Anyways, he was down visiting Tim. And Tim had forgot his keys to get in. And so they ended up having to walk. And I guess that walk is what inspired this, the Desert Walker. So I thought that was funny. Just a little fun cigar tidbit.
All right, dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you think we covered all of Katie's unfortunate story?
Yeah, I do. That's more of a not so much stories about the haunting itself, but the story behind the
haunting.
The haunting.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, this is really more of a true crime.
Right.
And I'm like, we're not
a true crime
podcast, but it is Oklahoma tied.
Yeah.
And it does have a ghost story attached to it.
Yeah.
So why not? Why not talk about it? I think I thought it was interesting.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think the speculation and it's a tragic story, but the speculation and the stories around it, the possibilities are fascinating.
Yeah.
Probably not aliens.
Why wouldn't she be still roaming out there looking for
of course,
Lou LaBelle?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Her life ended suddenly.
Yeah.
For
yeah,
what we know. A senseless crime.
Just lots of questions. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, so this isn't anything on Katie, so don't attach it to. But do you ever wonder, I'm just using this as an example since we've talked about it, but Do you ever wonder, like, what if Katie was just a horrible person?
Yeah.
What if she really was like, well, I don't know if killing's really good in any situation, but
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's just that's why unsolved mysteries are so crazy to me, because it's just you can come up with almost
It could be anything. Yeah. Well, and they say Texas Chainsaw Massacre is based on true events. It's like, well,
very, very loosely.
Yeah, I mean, there was a dude in rural Texas who killed some people. Yeah. But
they say most of that's from Ed Gein, but Ed Gein wasn't doing half. He was just digging up dead bodies and making furniture,
which is totally normal.
He's trying to make a living, dude. Okay. Like, there's people that make art out of their own blood nowadays.
Yeah.
How's that any different?
Yeah.
Like,
consent is important.
They're dead. It's not like he was killing them.
Look, we're talking about cultural and social issues here.
I'm over here defending Ed Gein. It is time to end this podcast.
Okay, yeah, let's come out of the smoke here.
We went in too far. Pull me out.
All right, well, it's been a while. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Glad
Happy
we got
New
the smoke.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for listening, everybody. And play us off.
Play us off.
Katie DeWitt packed her bags one day, left behind her pain to find a brighter way. With her baby in her arms, she set out on the train, but the road to freedom turned to sorrow and pain. A stranger named Fanny, a promise in her hand, led Katie through the wild Oklahoma land. But the buggy rode back with one soul lost, and whispers began at Dead Woman's Cross. Oh, Dead Woman's Crossing, where the shadows lie, a creek runs red beneath the open sky. Her spirit still lingers, her story untold, in the Oklahoma night where the winds blows cold. They found her by the water, her throat was torn, her life stolen from her daughter left forlorn. And Fanny's name was whispered, but no justice came. Just another lost life in the frontier's cruel game. The ghost of Katie wanders the creek bed she roams, searching for the truth to lead her spirit home. The whispers grow louder when the moonlight's tossed on the chilling waters of Dead Woman's Cross. Oh, Dead Woman's Crossing, where the shadows lie, a creek runs red beneath the open sky. Her spirit still lingers, her story untold, in the Oklahoma night where the winds run cold. They say you can hear her cry through the trees, a mother's mournful wail carried on the breeze. The creek keeps its secret, the story remains, a haunting melody of heartbreak and shame. Oh, Dead Woman's Crossing, where the shadows lie, a creek runs red beneath the open sky. Her spirit still lingers, her story untold, in the Oklahoma night Travelers beware when you pass that place, for the weight of her sorrow still fills the space. Katie DeWitt's name is a ghostly refrain at Dead Woman's Crossing, where silence speaks her pain.